Do you ever feel a quiet ache, a sort of hollowness, even when you're surrounded by family or friends? Perhaps you've noticed it in someone else, a friend or neighbor who seems to withdraw, their usual spark dimming. We often imagine loneliness in old age as simply being alone, sitting quietly by a window. Perhaps. But what if I told you that this picture, while sometimes true, barely scratches the surface of a much deeper, more complex reality? It's a reality many experience but few openly discuss. A silent struggle hidden in plain sight. It's a feeling that can creep in unexpectedly, even when your calendar seems full, leaving you wondering why you still feel so disconnected. This isn't just about the absence of people. It's about the presence of an unspoken longing, a truth that runs far deeper than mere solitude. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on 5 hidden truths about loneliness in old age that no one truly talks about. We'll explore why it might feel different from what you expect, how it subtly impacts us, and most importantly, how understanding these truths can be the first step towards finding genuine connection and peace. It's not about finding more people. It's about finding the right kind of connection and understanding your own heart. Stay with me right to the very end, because I'm going to share something truly surprising that might just change your entire perspective. Let's begin with the very first hidden truth, one that often surprises people because it challenges our fundamental assumptions about loneliness. It isn't always about being physically alone. It's about the quality of your connections. Think about it for a moment. You might attend regular club meetings, go to church every Sunday, or have family over for dinner once a week. On the surface, you're surrounded by people. You're engaged in activities. And yet, a hollow feeling persists. You might find yourself smiling and nodding, participating in small talk, but deep down, you feel disconnected, unheard, or simply not truly seen. This is the difference between superficial interactions and genuine connection. Many of us, especially as we age, find our social circles changing, friends move away, or perhaps we lose loved ones, and the interactions we do have become more casual, less intimate. You might have wonderful grandchildren who visit, but the conversations revolve around their school or hobbies, and rarely do you delve into your own thoughts, fears, or deeper joys. It's like being in a crowded room but feeling utterly invisible. This isn't a failing on anyone's part. It's a natural shift that happens as life evolves. But it can leave a gaping hole where meaningful connection used to be. So, how do we bridge this gap? It starts with intentionality. Instead of simply attending events, try to be truly present. When you're talking to someone, really listen. Not just for their words, but for the feelings behind them. Ask open-ended questions that invite deeper sharing, like, "What's been on your mind lately?" Or, "What's something you're excited about?" Or perhaps worried about. And crucially, be willing to share a little more of yourself. It doesn't have to be a profound secret. It could be a small vulnerability, a genuine opinion, or a personal anecdote that reveals a part of your inner world. This kind of sharing, even in small doses, builds bridges. For example, instead of just saying, "The weather's nice," you might add, "The nice weather makes me think of my garden and how much joy I get from watching things grow." Do you have a hobby that brings you that kind of quiet satisfaction? That opens a door. Focus on cultivating a few truly deep relationships rather than just accumulating many casual acquaintances. It's about quality, not quantity. Perhaps there's one person in your life, a longtime friend, a sibling, or even a new acquaintance, with whom you feel a natural resonance. Invest in that relationship. Suggest a one-on-one coffee, a walk in the park, or a phone call specifically for a heart-to-heart. These deeper interactions, even infrequent ones, can nourish your spirit far more than a dozen superficial encounters. Remember, true connection is a two-way street. It requires both giving and receiving. And often, The bravest step is the first one you take in sharing a little piece of yourself. This leads us smoothly to our second hidden truth. Loneliness can often masquerade as other feelings or conditions, making it incredibly difficult to identify and address. Imagine waking up feeling just off. You might describe it as a lack of energy, a persistent apathy, or an unexplained irritability. Perhaps you find yourself snapping at small things, or feeling indifferent to activities you once enjoyed. Sometimes, it even manifests physically: unexplained aches and pains, persistent fatigue, or digestive issues that doctors can't quite pinpoint. We might chalk it up to just getting older, or attribute it to a bad night's sleep or a minor ailment. But beneath the surface, that creeping feeling of disconnection could be the true culprit. When we're lonely, our bodies and minds react. Our nervous system can become more stressed, leading to physical symptoms. Emotionally, it's easier to slip into a state of generalized low mood, where everything feels a bit flat or frustrating. You might tell yourself, "I'm just tired," when in reality, the exhaustion is a symptom of emotional depletion, a lack of the vital nourishment that human connection provides. Or you might become more withdrawn, pushing people away because the effort of engaging feels too great, ironically, deepening the very isolation you're experiencing. It's a vicious cycle where the root cause, loneliness, is hidden behind a veil of other seemingly distinct problems. To uncover this hidden truth, we need to practice a little self-reflection. When you feel a pervasive sense of apathy, or a low-grade irritability, or even those unexplained aches, pause for a moment. Instead of immediately dismissing it, ask yourself, am I truly feeling connected right now? Have I had meaningful interactions recently? Is there a part of me that feels unseen or unheard? Sometimes, simply acknowledging this possibility can be a powerful first step. Journaling can be incredibly helpful here, allowing you to explore these feelings in a safe, private space. Write down not just what you feel, but what might be beneath it. For instance, if you write, "I feel really tired today," try to delve deeper. Is it just physical tiredness, or an emotional weariness? Could it be that I haven't had a proper chat with anyone who truly understands me in a while? Confiding in a trusted friend or family member, even just saying, "I've been feeling a bit off lately, and I'm trying to understand why," can open the door to support. And certainly, if these feelings persist and become overwhelming, reaching out to a healthcare professional, a therapist, or a counselor is a sign of strength, not weakness. They can help you explore whether loneliness is a contributing factor and guide you toward strategies for better well-being. Understanding that loneliness isn't always a straightforward emotion, but one that can cleverly disguise itself, empowers us to look beyond the obvious symptoms and address the deeper need for connection. It's about treating the root, not just the leaves. Now that we've talked about these subtle disguises of loneliness and how it can feel even when we're seemingly surrounded by others, let's look at another powerful, often overlooked factor that contributes to this silent struggle. Our own fears often create walls, sometimes stronger than any external barrier. It's easy to blame circumstances. My friends are busy. My family lives far away. No one calls me. But if we're truly honest, sometimes the biggest hurdle is within us. Think about the quiet voice that whispers in your ear when you consider reaching out to an old friend. They're probably too busy. Or when an invitation comes your way for something new. I won't know anyone there. I'll just feel awkward. This is the fear of rejection, a powerful instinct that can paralyze us. We might worry about bothering someone, thinking they have enough on their plate. I don't want to add to it. This is the fear of being a burden, a common concern among those who have always prided themselves on their independence and strength. We might shy away from sharing a personal struggle, fearing that showing vulnerability makes us weak, when in fact, it's often the very key to forging deeper bonds. Or perhaps it's simply a fear of change, a discomfort with stepping outside our established routines. Even when those routines are leading to isolation, these fears are natural. They're part of being human. But they can become invisible fences, silently keeping us contained within a shrinking world. They manifest in small ways, hesitating to make that phone call, declining an invitation to a new club, or even staying quiet in a group conversation when you have something valuable to contribute. Each time we let fear win, that wall gets a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, making it harder to break through next time. The irony is that the very act of avoiding perceived discomfort for a moment often leads to a much deeper, more prolonged discomfort of loneliness. Breaking down these walls doesn't require grand gestures, just small, consistent acts of courage. Start with what feels manageable. Instead of aiming for a long, deep conversation, perhaps just send a short, thoughtful text or email to someone you haven't connected with in a while. Thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. Or, if an invitation comes, say yes to just one small thing, even if it's just for an hour. When the fear of being a burden surfaces, challenge it. What's the worst that could happen? Most people are genuinely happy to hear from others. Reframe vulnerability, not as weakness, but as authenticity and strength. When you share a small piece of your true self, you give others permission to do the same, creating a space for genuine connection. If you're worried about awkwardness in new social situations, remind yourself that everyone feels a little unsure in new environments. Focus on a simple goal, like smiling and introducing yourself to just one person. Self-compassion is crucial here. Don't judge yourself for feeling these fears. Acknowledge them, and then gently encourage yourself to take a tiny step forward anyway. Each small step weakens the fear and strengthens your capacity for connection. Remember, those who truly care about you want to hear from you. You are not a burden. You are a valued individual whose presence enriches their lives. Now, let's turn our attention to the fourth hidden truth, which is less about internal barriers and more about the changing landscape of our external world. The traditional ways of connecting are less common, and society itself has shifted, sometimes making it harder to naturally fall into community. Our parents' generation, and certainly our grandparents, often lived in neighborhoods where everyone knew everyone. There were local shops, bustling community centers, church halls that served as social hubs, and multi-generational families often lived close by. Spontaneous encounters were common. A chat over the garden fence, bumping into a friend at the local post office, or meeting neighbors during a leisurely stroll. Today, life often looks very different. Many local shops have been replaced by large supermarkets or online ordering, reducing casual encounters. Churches, while still vital for many, may not hold the same central social role they once did for everyone. Community centers exist, but often require intentional effort to seek out. Families are more geographically scattered than ever before, with children and grandchildren often living states or even countries away, making impromptu visits a rare luxury. We rely heavily on technology for communication, which, while wonderful for staying in touch across distances, can sometimes feel less fulfilling than face-to-face interaction. We live in more anonymous spaces, where knocking on a neighbor's door to borrow a cup of sugar might feel like an odd request. This isn't a criticism of how things are. It's simply a recognition of a significant cultural shift that makes organic connection harder to come by, and thus, loneliness a more prevalent issue. So, how do we navigate this new landscape? We must become intentional architects of our own communities. Embrace new technologies for connection. Learn how to make video calls to family members far away. Join online groups focused on your hobbies, where you can connect with like-minded individuals globally. These virtual spaces can be surprisingly effective for maintaining bonds and even forming new ones. But also, actively seek out new physical hubs. This might mean joining a book club at your local library, signing up for a painting class at the community center, taking a walking group at a park, or volunteering for a cause you care deeply about. These are places where people gather with shared interests, creating natural opportunities for connection. Don't wait for invitations. Proactively seek out opportunities that resonate with you. Consider redefining what community means for you. It might not be the traditional neighborhood block anymore, but rather a collection of different groups. Your bridge club, your gardening friends, your online support group, and a few close family members. Each contributes a piece to your social fabric. Remember that building community in this new era often requires a little more effort up front. It means stepping out, trying new things, and being open to different forms of interaction. It's about being a pioneer in your own social life, actively seeking out and cultivating the connections that feed your soul, rather than waiting for them to magically appear. The world has changed. Yes, but the human need for connection has not. And by understanding this shift, we can adapt and thrive within it. And now for our final, perhaps most surprising, hidden truth. One that often gets overlooked in our collective understanding of loneliness. Embracing solitude is not the same as loneliness. And learning to distinguish between the two is key to finding genuine peace and even reducing unwanted isolation in a world that constantly tells us to be busy, to be surrounded by people, and to have a packed social calendar. We often conflate being alone with being lonely. But there's a profound difference, and recognizing it can be incredibly liberating. Loneliness, as we've discussed, is a painful, unwanted feeling of isolation or disconnect. It's the ache of wanting connection, but feeling unable to find it. Solitude, on the other hand, is a chosen state of being alone. It's when you intentionally seek out quiet time for reflection, for recharging your batteries, for engaging in activities that bring you personal joy and fulfillment without the need for external company. It's time to read that book you've been meaning to work on a beloved hobby, to take a peaceful walk in nature, or simply to sit with your thoughts and truly listen to yourself. This isn't about avoiding people. It's about nurturing your inner world and finding contentment in your own company. The problem arises when we don't differentiate between the two. If we view any time spent alone as a sign of loneliness or failure, we lose the opportunity for deep self-care and personal growth that solitude offers. We might then frantically seek external distraction, filling every moment with activity, even if those activities don't truly nourish us, just to avoid the perceived emptiness of being alone. This can paradoxically make us feel more lonely, as we're constantly looking outside ourselves for validation and connection, rather than cultivating a rich inner life. When we are comfortable with our own company, we approach social interactions from a place of strength and choice, not desperation. We choose to connect because we want to, not because we feel we have to fill a void. So, how do we cultivate a healthy relationship with solitude? It begins with intention. Schedule time for yourself, just as you would for an appointment with a friend. This isn't empty time, it's dedicated time for self-rejuvenation. Engage in hobbies you genuinely love that you can do alone, perhaps gardening, painting, writing, listening to music, cooking a new recipe, or learning something new online. These activities allow you to immerse yourself fully, providing a sense of purpose and accomplishment that comes from within. Practice mindfulness, even for just a few minutes a day. This could be simply focusing on your breath, observing your surroundings without judgment, or savoring a cup of tea. Mindfulness helps you become more present and comfortable in your own skin, transforming quiet moments from empty spaces into rich opportunities for reflection. Consider dating yourself. Take yourself out to a cafe, a museum, or a park. Treat yourself with the same kindness and attention you would offer a cherished friend. This practice builds self-esteem and reminds you that you are excellent company. Over time, you'll begin to appreciate the quietude, the space for reflection, and the freedom that comes with knowing you don't always need external stimulation to feel content. And here's the surprising part when you become truly comfortable with solitude. When you discover the richness of your own inner world, your capacity for genuine connection with others often deepens. You come to relationships not out of need, but out of a desire to share your well-being. This inner strength, this self-sufficiency, makes you a more grounded and appealing presence to others, ironically helping to combat the very loneliness you feared. Embracing healthy solitude is not about giving up on connection. It's about strengthening your core so that all your connections, both with yourself and with others, become more fulfilling. We've now explored these 5 hidden truths about loneliness in old age. We've seen that it's not just about being alone, but about the quality of our connections. We've uncovered how it can cleverly masquerade as other feelings like apathy or irritability, making it difficult to pinpoint. We've bravely faced the reality that our own fears, like the fear of rejection or being a burden, can inadvertently build walls around us. We've acknowledged that the world has changed, and the traditional ways of forming community are less common, requiring us to be proactive in seeking new connections. And finally, we've discovered the profound difference between unwanted loneliness and the enriching, vital practice of chosen solitude. Understanding that nurturing our inner lives can paradoxically lead to deeper, more meaningful external connections. Remember, recognizing these truths isn't about feeling defeated. It's about feeling empowered. It's about gaining clarity, seeing the path forward, and understanding that you have more agency than you might think. Small, consistent shifts in perspective and action can make an immense difference to your sense of connection and overall well-being. You are not alone in experiencing these complex feelings, and there are always ways to cultivate more joy and genuine interaction in your life. Every single one of us, regardless of age, yearns for connection, and that desire is a beautiful, powerful thing. I truly hope that understanding these hidden truths has resonated with you, perhaps even sparked a new thought or two. I'd love to hear your own experiences or thoughts on loneliness and connection in the comments below. Have any of these truths surprised you? What strategies have you found helpful in your own life? Your insights can be incredibly valuable to others watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps our channel reach more people who might benefit from this message. And consider subscribing, so you don't miss out on future videos designed to help you live your fullest, happiest life. Remember, connection is a journey, not a destination. Keep exploring, keep reaching out, and keep nurturing the beautiful person you are. Live your best life at every age.